Last week, Hamas said it was handing over administrative control of Gaza to form a unity government. Well, for more, we're joined by TRT World correspondent Nicole Johnston in our studio. Nicole, thanks for being with us. This is no doubt an ambitious effort on the part of the Palestinian Authority. What are the obstacles of these talks, and what hope is there for a productive outcome, considering past attempts have failed?
What we're seeing now is very significant. It's even more significant than the 2014 meeting of the PA in Gaza, which was in the aftermath of the 2014 war. So what this really is the first meeting since 2010. For the last few years, non-stop, we've been hearing about Hamas, Fatah, reconciliation, trying to heal the divide between the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. And just to remind viewers, we have Hamas controlling Gaza, Fatah controlling the West Bank. They've been divided. So what we're seeing now is the first practical, real effort to try and end that division. And the impact it could have for Palestinians, it's sort of where to begin. It involves everything from jobs, from the public administration, from the Hamas security forces, from borders, from trying to get electricity to the Gaza Strip, from ending the restrictions that the Palestinian Authority had imposed on Gaza this year. So it's a very significant development indeed, and it certainly seems to be real, which we haven't had before.
How miserable is the situation in Gaza, and do the people there blame the Palestinian Authority?
People in Gaza overwhelmingly blame Israel for the occupation, of course, but it's been a very tough year for Gaza, one of the toughest. And the reason for that, or one of the main reasons, is the electricity supply. The Palestinian Authority in the West Bank decided it was time to really put the screws on Hamas, to really try and force them to the negotiating table. Because, as I said, these talks have been on and off for so many years and they've gone nowhere. The way they put the pressure, or one of the ways they put the pressure on Hamas, was by cutting the payments for electricity, for fuel supplies to Gaza. So this summer, very hot in Gaza, people have only had electricity for a couple of hours a day. It's been miserable, it's been appalling conditions. The United Nations says that Gaza is unlivable. The raw sewage flowing into the seas at the highest levels, basically the Mediterranean there, is unswimmable. Obviously, it's been under siege for more than 10 years now. So yes, it is miserable, and these restrictions, this pressure by the PA in the West Bank has made life even tougher for people in Gaza this year.
Nicole, Egypt is behind this push for reconciliation, and it's fair to say that they haven't had a good relationship with Hamas for years. What does Egypt get out of this?
The role of Egypt here is really interesting. As you said, ever since the coup happened in Egypt and the government of Fatah al-Sisi took over there, they had declared Hamas a terrorist organisation because of its links with the Muslim Brotherhood. So life was even more difficult for people in Gaza. They sealed the Rafah border crossing shut, so people had not had any ability to leave Gaza except for maybe a few days a year. However, this year, one of the developments has been that Hamas came out with a new manifesto. In that, they cut their links with the Muslim Brotherhood. The relationship with Egypt improved. What is Egypt getting out of negotiating this? Egypt would like to be seen as a big regional player. There's a great deal of prestige associated with trying to end this division, in being the Middle Eastern country that manages to get Fatah and Hamas back on the same page. So that's what Egypt gets out of it. The other big issue for Egypt and for Gaza right now will be that Rafah border crossing. If they can come to some sort of agreement to reopen that crossing for 8 to 10 hours a day, which is the most that will probably ever happen, that would provide the Palestinians with some kind of lifeline. The difficulty, and there are so many issues to be worked out between the Palestinian Authority and Hamas, will be who controls that border crossing. Is Hamas really prepared to give up its control of the crossings and allow the PA and Israel, which was the previous agreement, to take back control.